Alright guys, coming back at you with another knife video. Today we're looking at the Kizer Guru, a newer model from Kizer Knives. I believe it came out at the end of 2016, maybe the first part of 2017. There's 4 different versions. This is the one with the holes, non-flipper. There's the holes flipper. There's 2 flipper models, one with holes, one without, and 2 thumb stud models, one with holes, one without. So overall, let's just go and kind of jump into basic specs here. You have a blade, or an overall length of 7.5 inches open, blade length of 3 inches. Your cutting edge is about 2.75 because of this choil here. It's almost a finger choil, more of a sharpening choil. You have a CPM S35 VN blade, sheep's foot type blade with a flat grind, satin finish, 4.5 inches closed. Your handle thickness is 0.45 inches and your weight is about 4 ounces. So it's a pretty light, good size EDC knife. With a milled titanium pocket clip, which is a nice upgrade over previous Kizers. The first Kizer to do that was the Ursa Minor here, and I think that's a great upgrade. Nice to see them doing that. So your action on this is going to be on bearings. They originally, I think, were on washers, the prototypes or whatever, but they switched it to bearings, and it's very smooth. You can easily middle finger flick it with the thumb stud. You can obviously do that, or you can slow open it. Just have a little bit of a detent to do the slow opening, but you can do it. It's very usable. I dig the holes. I think that there's a nice little finish. Kind of reminds me of the Mayo. You know how Mayo does holes in most of his knives. Bead blast finish on the titanium. It does show wear pretty easily, kind of like a Chris Reeves. You get that pocket clip. Just being in the pocket for a few days has done that to it. Speaking of pocket clip, like I said, it does have a milled titanium clip, which is nice. Carries very nicely in the pocket. It has some good spring to it. It's not too stiff. Kizer's doing an awesome job on these new clips for their knives. I highly recommend them. Some people didn't like their old clips, and they've definitely listened to their customer base and have upgraded them, which is really good. It does have a steel lock bar insert, as you can see here on that. So lockup is nice and solid. Action is super smooth. There's some really nice contouring on the handles too. This is based on Matt Degnan's MC model. Matt Kuchera is what MC stands for. That's his mentor for knife making. So really cool that Kizer works with these up-and-coming knife makers. I really like that. So carries really well in the pocket. Not a lot of knife. It's a good size. So you're not going to feel a ton of it, and it's a good weight. It's really kind of a perfect EDC size knife for me. Ergonomically, it is really nice. It's got a nice generous finger groove here, and it's just super comfortable in the hand. There is literally no hot spots, forward grip, reverse grip, nothing. Just really nice, really nice. Good ergonomics. Feel to it feels like a really high quality knife. I mean, for 179 bucks, you're getting titanium S35 VN, milled pocket clip, bearings. I mean, it's a really good value. We'll talk more about the value here in a minute. And I like the design of the knife quite a bit. This is one of the Kizer models that really caught my eye initially. I thought, I really want to get that one, and it does not disappoint. Very smooth. You can see I'm sitting here flicking it, which I try not to do as much. People get, distracted by that, I guess. So it's got some nice visuals. Very attractive blade. It's there we go. That's a little bit better view. I like the sheep's foot blades with this. I think it looks really nice. Just a really overall well-executed design, in my opinion. Fit and finish on this is typical Kizer quality, meaning it's good. It's very good for the money. And you get a really high-quality folder with good materials for under $200. Kizer has really hit that niche market, I think, and that's why I'll continue to be buying them and reviewing them on the channel, because they just are such a good deal for what you get. Now the cutting ability, which I usually talk about on the knives, is kind of one area where I was shouldn't say disappointed, but not terribly impressed. And I think a lot of that has to do with that super thick blade. I mean, look at that. That is a stout little blade. So it's going to, be able to take some abuse, but at the same time, it's kind of, hinders, I think, the slicing abilities of the knife. I cut up quite a bit of cardboard with this, and I did some video footage of that. Haven't decided if I'm going to put it in the video, so you may see it here in a minute, or you may not. Let's zero that. Okay, so your thickness of the blade, so your stock, is 0.145, so it's pretty thick. If you were to compare, well, let's do the, this is a hard one because that tapers down so well. Well, let's do a similar blade shape. It's not quite a sheep's foot, it's a single blade. It's from Sabenza. But just to give you an idea of the difference, 0.11, almost 0.12. Quite a bit difference. And it's the single blade is a well-known slicer. It's a very good slicer. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to bump the camera like that. So that's my, I noticed it did its job just fine, and it's definitely made to be a stout, sturdy blade. I would just like to see a little bit thinner grind, or a little bit thinner blade stock. I mean, it does a good job with the flat grind, tapering down, and it's got a very stout tip, as you can see here. You're not going to have to worry about breaking anything with that tip. It comes down really nicely, but it's just a pretty thick, and I know it's designed that way, so it works. It's just, I just noticed when I was slicing through the cardboard, it kind of caught up on stuff a little bit more than some with a little bit thinner edge, and not thinner edge, but thinner grind. So that could be one reason why. So other than that, it performed really well. I wouldn't call it a great slicer. It definitely slices. It would be good for a food prep knife for chopping some things. It's kind of got that sheep's foot blade is good for that kind of work. And just overall EDC tasks, it does just fine. No issues there. But if you're looking for like a fantastic slicer, I wouldn't call it that. Which it's kind of apparent in the design again. So value on this knife is extremely high, as with all Kizers. Yes, it is made in China, but they have a U.S. warranty department now. They have really good reputation in the industry for durability, for not really having issues with their knives, and that makes the value even higher because you're getting such good materials and you're getting a lot of cool designs. It's one thing I really like about Kizer is they work with all these up-and-coming knife designers, and even big ones like Ray Laconico, Matt Degnan. They work with a lot of these newer designers like Matt Degnan. I hope I'm saying that name right. Degs Blades is his Instagram handle if you're interested in following him there. And I really like that about Kizer, so I'll, like I said, continue to buy those knives because I really like that they do that with those up-and-coming makers. So the value is very high, as it is with all Kizers. Overall use, I would call it an EDC blade. You could definitely use this outdoors. It's very stout. I mean, like I said, that blade stock is stout, so it would be a good outdoor use knife if you had it on you, had to do some tasks. It would do fine in that. And it works good as a office knife because it's not terribly heavy, it's not terribly big. It's maybe on the little, it's a 3-inch blade. I mean, it's going to be legal to carry in a lot of areas, so that makes it very versatile. It's not a huge knife. This is my kind of wheelhouse these days, is these knives. Now let's compare it, while I'm thinking about it, to some other knives. I'm going to use the small Sabenza, as we already kind of talked about the blade shape there. Blade to handle ratio on the Sabenza is going to be a little better. Here's the the Ursa Minor. A little bit longer in the handle, about almost identical blade. Sheep's foot's going to kind of hurt that little blade to handle ratio a little bit. It's the Benchmade 940 Cabela's exclusive. A little bit about the same handle as that. A little less blade though. And your Paramilitary 3 is barely going to fit in frame there. So very similar size. That's actually a really close one, I think, is the Para 3. Yep. Very similar in size, very similar blade. And the Paramilitary series, the Para 3, Para 2 on stuff are not known for having the best blade to handle ratio. So, but a lot of that again is the design of the blade. That's what's going to happen when you use a Wharncliffe or a sheep's foot blade. The Insingo being the rare exception to that. As you can see, but even that, it's not perfect blade to handle ratio. So overall, very nice knife, guys. Like I said, my only gripes on it was the thicker blade stock, not necessarily needed on a small blade like this, and the blade to handle ratio is not the greatest. But other than that, those are kind of nitpicky things, and that would not deter you from ever buying this knife. I highly recommend it. It's a great value, a great deal. Like I said, if you don't want a flipper, they got a couple non-flippers. If you want a flipper with the holes, you can do it. If you want a flipper without the holes, I mean, lots of options there, guys. I wish these stands like didn't put such a weird angle for the camera, but there you go. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up my review on the Kizer Guru. Any questions or comments on this one, let me know, and we'll see you on the next video.